Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba, your host.
And I'm Owen Price, your co-host.
All right, Nick Fairless, owner, Door Devil. And special thanks to Joel Gilhang for the referral of a great client with a great product. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, Michael. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, my pleasure. You've had Door Devil, you got 20 years as an IT project manager, business system analyst, graduate, Texas Wesleyan University, international business and German emphasis, and you studied in Vienna. But most burglars,
Michael, burglars.
Thank you very much. Help me out with that one. A little tongue-tied.
I trip on that one all the time, Michael.
Burglaries, all right, began with bad guys forcibly breaching doors, not windows, yet doorway security remains a non-factor in the typical home security conversion. Tell us about the Door Devil, what it does, how you separate yourself from
Michael, one moment, please.
The rest of the world. Yeah,
There's a Cinderella story here. I want to know how you came up with the idea and what happened.
Okay.
And I want to know about your neighbors.
Sure. In fact, it's a good place to start on explaining what it is and why it exists. In 2007, my wife and I moved into a neighborhood in Dallas, and in and around that neighborhood, there was a high percentage of burglaries right around us, to the point and to the extent where the neighbors actually kind of circled the wagons and had a group meeting about what we could do to prevent and protect ourselves from what was actually happening and seemed imminent, because within an insanely small amount of houses, let's say a 3 to 5 block radius, there were 6 or 7 burglaries. So it was a pretty serious situation at the time. So we all got together and were huddled around talking about it. And so naturally, in the progression of that conversation, I said to my wife, looks like we need to get an alarm system. And neighbor X, who was sitting next to us, said, well, Don and Sue and Bob and Kim both had alarm systems. And these bad guys, what they're doing is they're kicking the door, running in, grabbing the stuff within 15 minutes, and they're gone before police even were able to respond. So clearly, for at least this set of bad guys, getting an alarm system and spending $600 a year to invest in that wasn't actually going to accomplish or solve the problem that we were faced with. So what we did is we went out and looked at the alarm companies and home security providers that potentially had an anti-kit component to it, and none of them had that. So we had to kind of go off reservation at that point. And so the first place we checked, I think, was a common sense place to check. Would be a big box store in their door hardware and door security section. So they've got a panel. If you've ever been to one of those stores, you look at the door hardware section. They've got an array of products that are, I'm using my air quotes, that are door security products. But me at that time, knowing nothing about door security, just from a common sense perspective, I'm looking at those things and saying, none of those things are going to stop a 250-pound man from kicking my door. So we didn't buy any of those. We went home and checked some things online for door security, and we found one product that we felt could potentially stop a bad guy from kicking the door, but what it required is to take the trim or the casing off of the door, and then which included both the caulking and the paint that went with that, and then what you'd have to do is shear all the finishing nails within that door frame to allow this product to sit like a sleeve under your door frame. Well, first of all, the total acquisition cost for that product was over $100. Secondly, my wife didn't feel confident, and justifiably so, that I could put Humpty Dumpty back together again once we took the casing off.
Yeah, there'd be an installation cost of $300 or $400, surely, or something like that.
If you were to have it professionally installed, that's a fact. That's exactly right. It's a good point. Because of all the different components that were required to put that back together again with that type of a product. So we backed off of the door security products in that scenario. So the conclusion being, after our research on that, even though there was an imminent and common threat being the door kick-in, there really wasn't a solution out there in the market for either professionally offered by alarm companies and or off market online or big box stores. So that's where Door Devil came into play to fill that need.
Do you think your device has possibly saved any lives?
Well, yeah, that's one of our favorite stories actually. We had a woman who lived in Haltom City, Texas, who was fearful of her estranged boyfriend. He'd get drunk and was threatening her. So she mentioned this to one of the Haltom City police officers, and he suggested, hey, there's this product out there that you could add to your door frame that would help reinforce your doorway. What happened eventually was that she ended up calling 911 one night, and officers responded, and he was outside kicking the door when the officers ended up showing up on site. And in the conversations afterwards, he says, hey, the officer said, we know this guy, and you could have potentially saved her life tonight. So we don't know, but from the officer's perspective, that evidently the doorway security did some real good for her that evening.
That's all part of this Cinderella story. It's absolutely great. Now, you're not just a residential installer. You've done a little bit of work for some governments and things. And embassies.
Fair enough. And I need to clarify that and make sure that I'm characterizing that accurately. So no, we don't do any installations for the government. And from an embassy perspective, what I can say is that a U.S. embassy ordered our product that was going to be destined for a U.S. embassy overseas. I contacted them to see in what capacity that our units were going to be deployed, meaning whether it was going to be on the embassy itself and or for the personal residences of the folks off campus. But they weren't able to let us know that, probably for obvious reasons. But what I can say is definitively is that a U.S. embassy ordered product to keep their personnel safe from kick-ins. Excuse me.
Let me jump in there for a second there, Nick. We've talked all around it. Let's drive right into it with both feet. What is Door Devil? What is the actual product, so that the listening audience can picture it in their mind?
Sure. So to answer that question, what I need to do is just kind of lay a little bit of groundwork of what drives the kicking, or why the kicking is so common. So in a nutshell, what Door Devil does is it's a door security kit that goes on your doorway that stops bad guys from kicking the door. And door kick-ins are the number one method, or the number one reason, or excuse me, the number one method that burglars enter the home, as opposed to windows, which is about 30%. You've got about a 70-30 split on how they actually enter the home.
Okay, let's do this. We got about a minute and a half left.
Okay.
There's three major failing points to doors. Obviously, two hinges and the latch. How does this work on that? In about a minute and a half, we'll take a break, and we've got a whole other segment to go over the rest of the questions we have.
Perfect. So on a door, you've got two critical weak points. One is where when you lock or engage the deadbolt, the deadbolt goes into the door frame, and if you look at it when you go home, you've got less than 1 inch of softwood that holds that deadbolt into the door frame. So, and bad guys recognize this. So whether you've got a $10 contractor deadbolt or you've got the $500 bad boy, all they have to do is kick that door, and it blows through that soft 1 inch of wood. So that's one critical weak point on the door. The second critical weak point on the door is when the deadbolt is actually installed. You've got to hollow out the door itself to accommodate the deadbolt hardware, and by doing that, you inherently structurally weaken the door. So when a bad guy kicks the door, you've got to reinforce both of those components or points on the door frame. Otherwise, the force will transfer from one to the other and blow it out and allow the door to fail and blow open.
Dick, let's take a break here and then get into the litany of questions we have for you on the other side. All right?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back with Nick Fairless, owner, Door Devil, doordevil.com. You've been listening to CEO Money with Michael Yorba.
And Mervyn Price.
We'll be right back, and special thanks to Joel Gilhane.